thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Sign an autograph. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Today, our story begins at the National Art Gallery in France, a fabulous collection of paintings dating back many hundreds of years and including thousands of old masters. So valuable are these pictures that every room in the gallery is watched by not one, but two guards. Guards whose loyalty is unquestionable. Guards who are honest, faithful, and,
How about True Blue?
But you're not... Shh. But you're not guards. You're Boris Badenov and Natasha Fatal.
Right, darling.
Well, what are you doing here?
Just waiting for you to introduce us. Come on, Natasha.
And in less time than it takes to tell, the two crooks had cut 10 old masters from their frames. Natasha quickly rolled them around Boris just as the door opened and the museum director walked in.
Ah, bonjour, Pierre. Marcel.
Bonjour, darling.
Putting on a little weight, aren't you, Pierre?
Not for long.
Where are you going?
It's time for crepe Suzette break.
Crepe Suzette break?
And I never like to keep Suzette waiting. Come on, Marcel.
And the two villains dashed out just as the director said.
Sacre bleu, mille tonnerre, and other mild French expressions. Stop them!
But he was a little too late. The two villains were already dashing through the alleys of Paris. However, the French police were not to be caught napping. I said the French police were not to be caught napping.
Huh? Oh, oui, oui. Calling all gendarmes. Calling all gendarmes. Bonsoir, messieurs.
And so, within moments, the whole area was surrounded by police.
Boris, if they find the paintings on us, we are kaput. How do we hide them?
Don't worry, Natasha.
Boris, you got fiendish plan?
When don't I got fiendish plan? Look.
Sure enough, the wily thief had wrapped the paintings in a package ready for mailing. And as his partner watched, he dropped it in the nearest pillar box.
Now how do we make our escape?
It's a snap.
And sure enough, as dozens of French gendarmes watched wide-eyed, an odd-looking couple strolled down the Rue de la Paix.
Blum de mes Henri, look there.
Is nothing to average American tourists.
Are you sure?
Am I sure? Look, he's throwing away dollar bills.
He must be an American.
Besides, he obviously doesn't have the painting.
And so the two villains strolled right through the police cordon. But as the gendarmes looked more closely at the bills...
Hey, Henri. Oui? This is the first picture I ever see of Washington with a mustache.
No wonder he shaved it off. He looks terrible.
Could he be a counterfeit?
Hey, watch what you say about George Washington. You want to break up NATO?
Nevermore, this dollar is, how you say, the phony baloney.
And the police once again took up the chase, but too late. For a short time later, Boris and Natasha were in a jet plane heading for,
Yes, where are we headed, Boris?
To pick up the package we mailed.
Where did you address it, darling?
Think, Natasha. Who could you send $1 million package to? He'd be dumb enough to give it back.
You don't mean...
Yes, I do.
Yes, that package, which arrived at its destination a few days later, was addressed to...
Bullwinkle Moose, Frostbite Falls, Minnesota.
That's me, all righty.
You're expecting a parcel from Paris, France?
Of course not. This is a family show.
Oh, boy. Sign here.
Did you send away for anything, Bullwinkle?
Just some wallpaper samples, Rock.
Wallpaper samples?
Yeah, I've been thinking of doing over the chicken coop.
The chicken coop. Well, it looks as if Bullwinkle may have the most valuable chicken coop on Earth.
You bet. These Buff Orpingtons don't come cheap, you know.
But remember, Boris and Natasha are on their way to get the painting back, and they'll let nothing stand in their way.
Especially nothing with antlers.
Oh, be sure to see our next episode, Transatlantic Chicken, or Hens Across the Sea. Last time, you remember, Boris and Natasha posed as guards in a French National Art Gallery and swiped 10 old masters, each worth a fortune. Of course, the museum director was very upset. He summoned the head security officer.
They took the paintings right from under your nose.
Oui, It's a pretty big nose.
Well, you deserve a little something for this episode.
I do?
Which of these paintings do you like?
Can I have the one of the clown?
Of course you can.
What happened, Chief?
It's obvious. I was framed.
Meanwhile, Boris and Natasha had dropped the paintings into a mailbox and sauntered past the police, disguised as American tourists.
I say arrest them anyway, Henri.
Tut, Aristide, you never arrest a tourist.
Even if they steal?
Aristide, look at the prices in the store window.
They are ridiculous.
Of course. So no matter how much a tourist steals, we're bound to get it back before he leaves.
Unfortunately, Boris and Natasha weren't crooked tourists, just crooked. And so a short time later, they were zooming over the ocean to intercept their precious package of purloined paintings.
Where do we catch up with it, Boris?
Where else? Frostbite Falls, Minnesota.
Little did they know that their package had already arrived and been delivered to Bullwinkle Moose, who mistook the paintings for wallpaper samples.
I'm thinking of doing over the chicken coop. How do you like this pattern, Rock?
The Mona Lisa.
Can't say I care for that pattern. She's got kind of a sneaky smile.
Bullwinkle, these aren't wallpaper samples. Somebody sent you a mess of beautiful pictures.
Drawn by hand?
Of course not. If they were original, they'd be worth $1 million. They're just reproductions.
What good are they? They got no calendars attached to them.
Bullwinkle.
They'll do to keep the drafts out of the chicken coop.
And Bullwinkle set to work, nailing the paintings to the walls of the chicken coop.
There you are, girls, your own windproof art gallery.
But in the next few days, Rocky had bad news to report.
Look at this egg chart, Bullwinkle. Those hens just aren't laying like they used to.
It's not their fault, Rocky. It's those pictures of the Laughing Clavicle and Mona Lisa and all.
What have they got to do with it?
Well, can you do your best work with somebody looking over your shoulder all the time?
Well, maybe you're right.
I better do something about it.
Such as?
I'll whitewash the whole place, pictures and all. Oh, you're welcome, I'm sure.
And as Bullwinkle set off to find the whitewash brush, a long black car was pulling up in front of their little house.
Ooh, anybody home?
Hokey Smoke, who are you?
Allow me to introduce myself. Cerulean Blue, world's greatest art collector. And this is my secretary, Rose Madder.
Those are sure arty names, all right.
We pick nothing but the best.
Hey, haven't we met before?
You've probably seen my portrait in several galleries.
Art galleries, Boris?
Rogues galleries, Natasha.
Well, what are you doing here?
Just one of our little collecting trips, darling.
You wouldn't by chance have any old pictures around that you'd like to sell?
We pay top prices.
Up to $3.98 a piece.
$3.98?
Up to $3.98 a piece. How about that?
Come on, Mr. Blue. We may have something here for you.
And the unsuspecting Rocky led the disguised villains to the chicken coop, just in time to see Bullwinkle sloshing whitewash over the last old master. Of course, there was only one thing for Boris to do. He fainted.
Ooh.
Well, is this the end of our hero's artistic adventure? Be with us next time for Portrait of a Moose or Bullwinkle Gets the Brush. Well, the art world is still buzzing over the shocking theft by Boris and Natasha of 10 old masters from a French museum and their subsequent disappearance.
But it's impossible. How could a picture drop out of sight so quick?
Oh, I don't know. Remember the horn blows at midnight?
Yes, that's right.
Several painters offered to paint new pictures, but that didn't work out either.
No, it's too expensive.
What could be more expensive than the 10 paintings?
10 painters, a time and a half.
Oh.
The matter even came up on the floor of the U.S. Congress.
It's an outrage.
It's regrettable.
It's a communist plot.
Sir, why do you think it's a communist plot?
I think everything's a communist plot.
Well, little as they say, did they know that those paintings at that very moment were hung in a chicken coop in Frostbite Falls, Minnesota, where our hero, Bullwinkle Moose, had just covered the last one with whitewash.
Yeah, the hens couldn't work with people looking over their shoulders. All right, girls, back to work.
Well, the hens may have been happy, but there was somebody who was definitely not. An art dealer named Cerulean Blue.
Or as we know him, Boris Badenov.
You whitewashed every square inch of canvas.
Yeah, most of the round inches, too.
Ooh.
He fainted.
What's the matter? He never been in a warm chicken coop before?
Mr. Blue was going to buy those old pictures you painted over.
For how much?
$3.98 a piece.
Up to $3.98 a piece.
Wowee! Well, you wait a second. I'll scrape this whitewash stuff off with this steel wool, and then we'll...
No.
There he goes again.
But in a little while, Boris was his old evil self again.
Tell me, Mr. Blue, why don't you want Bullwinkle to scrape off the whitewash?
Because it'll ruin the valuable painting.
What valuable painting?
Uh-oh, think fast, darling.
This valuable painting.
You mean my whitewash job?
Whitewash my foot.
Okay, if you insist.
No, wait, Bullwinkle. He means he thinks this is a good painting.
Think, I know it's a masterpiece. I'll buy it.
Very smart, Boris.
You think you're dealing with kids or something?
I don't know. How much you offering?
I'll go top dollar, $3.98.
Wait a minute.
Don't interrupt. What were you going to say?
I was going to say
Now, wait. If the painting's worth anything at all, it's got to be worth more than $3.98.
Okay, you got me over a barrel. Make it an even $4.
Well, I think we ought to sleep on it, Bullwinkle.
And so our heroes took the whitewash masterpieces and retired to their small cottage, while Boris and Natasha fumed in the car outside.
What you doing, Boris?
You heard the man? I'm fuming.
That's fuming.
You got a better idea how to fume?
Who you calling, Rock?
I'm calling the art museums. They'll tell us if you're a great painter or not.
Art Museum, good afternoon.
Say, can you come out and look at a painting?
Why should I? I've hundreds to look at right here.
Yeah, but we think we got a brand new old master here in Frostbite Falls.
True, true.
Well, that's a little different. I'll be right out. And one word of caution.
Yeah?
Let's keep this thing a secret, shall we? Just between us art lovers.
Sure.
Well, it was obvious the museum director didn't know the Frostbite Falls phone system, for everybody in town was listening in on the party line, including Boris Badenov.
And I always listen to Party Line.
How come?
The Party Line is my country's answer to the thinking man's filter.
Well, it looks as if Boris's plan has gone askew.
Gesundheit.
We'll find out more in Bullwinkle Busts a Brush or The Cleft Palate. Well, sir and madam, and all you kids out there.
Get on with it, blabbermouth.
All right, all right. Well, through a quirk of fate, Bullwinkle painted a coat of whitewash over 10 stolen art masterpieces, and now Boris is secretly trying to buy them back.
What I can't understand is why he thinks these are worth anything.
Oh, I don't know, Rock. They do have a kind of dash to them.
They're just whitewash.
But notice how I left this little dark spot to kind of catch the eye.
Bullwinkle, that's a fly.
Oh, looks almost real, doesn't it?
Well, we'll know whether they're valuable in a little while now.
How come?
I sent for some art experts.
Sure enough, in just a few minutes, a caravan of cars began to pour into Frostbite Falls, bearing the cream of the nation's art connoisseurs, including the Dean of Art Critics, Price McVincent.
Very well. Where are these alleged paintings?
Oh, get them for you.
Boris, suppose those art critics find out what's under that whitewash.
Maybe I better raise my last offer.
Well, here they are, Mr.
My enemies call me Mr. McVincent.
What do your friends call you?
What friends?
Yeah, see what you mean.
Well, what do you think of this one?
This is absolutely and without a doubt the most dreadful, nauseating, ugly...
I'll pay $10,000 for it.
The most ugly frame I can imagine for such an exquisite picture.
You think it's exquisite?
My dear boy, any painting worth $10,000 is exquisite.
I say, Ernest, who's the chap who bid 10,000?
Speaks with an accent, probably from the Middle East.
You mean he may be representing King,
Well, the king just can't go on collecting dancing girls. There's a bag limit, you know.
Well, if it's worth 10,000 to him, it's worth 15,000 to me. I bet 15,000.
Yeah, but wait a minute. These are just whitewash.
The medium doesn't matter, short and furry. It's the soul of the artist. What do you call this, my good man?
Moose.
Moose?
I call this one White Cow Eating Marshmallows in Snowstorm.
It fairly sings, doesn't it?
Boris, they are going crazy. 15,000 for a coat of whitewash.
You know something? It is kind of pretty at that, Natasha.
You too.
You think I don't appreciate beautiful things? 20,000.
Now hold on there. This is getting out of hand.
Let it go! Let it go!
I don't think we ought to sell any of these till we've had a chance to think things over.
The squirrel is right. We really should think things over.
We
agree. I bid 25,000.
30.
40. Well, that did it. Within hours, the news of an astounding new find in the art world flashed across the continent.
The most titillating new talent since Frank Giacomelli.
Looks like a moose, paints like an angel.
Collector's bid, Moose says nix.
Extreme Moose starts art school. Well, Boris, you have done it again. You have made the moose famous.
But not for long.
Boris, you got a plan?
Of course. And who, boy, is it ever fiendish?
And so the next time Bullwinkle left the house, he was accosted by a strange little boy.
Please, Mr. Moose, could I having your autograph?
Of course, little feller.
Thanks, oodles.
Name is Bullwinkle. Sweet kid. Cute mustache, too.
Mustache?
And that wasn't all, for Bullwinkle had just signed a will, leaving all of his paintings to Boris.
So when he dies,
Which could happen any minute now.
we get the old masters. Oh, that's my Boris.
Please, you're crushing my curl.
Well, will the sinister document mean the end of our hero? And if so, what will happen to the Bullwinkle show?
I get that, too.
Be sure to be with us next time for Boris Badenoff Presents, or the 20-inch Scream. Last time we saw Bullwinkle, he had just set the art world on its ear with a series of paintings done in whitewash.
I call this one Vanilla Ice Cream Spilled on a White Sheet #2.
What Bullwinkle didn't know was that underneath 10 of his paintings were 10 old masters recently filched from a Paris art museum by,
Let me guess. Picasso J. Flom?
No.
Toulouse Lachnook?
No.
Then it must be Boris Badenoff.
The man you love to hate.
You said it.
True, Boris was the culprit, but he didn't have the paintings. Instead, he had a will signed by Bullwinkle, which left the paintings to Boris if anything should happen to him.
And it just might.
All unaware of his danger, Bullwinkle was busy turning out more and more whitewash canvases.
What title do I put on this one?
Call it Man Eating a Sandwich in a White Room.
Well, I see the white room, but where's the sandwich?
The man ate it.
Then where's the man?
Well, you don't expect him to hang around after he ate the sandwich, do you?
No.
That's the trouble. You people never understand us artists.
Bullwinkle, why don't you use your head?
It's easier with a brush.
Meanwhile, the two villains had just planted several sticks of dynamite under the cottage and lit the feud.
You sure there's enough there, Boris?
Enough. Baby, when this stuff goes off, all we got left is 1 pair antlers and 200 pounds of moose burger.
But, Boris, if we blow up Moose, we blow up the paintings, too.
Good heavens!
Boris, you said heavens.
What can I do? They won't let me plug the competition.
Well, now what?
Easy. We just take the paintings before the stuff goes off. But we gotta be awful quick.
Dashing into the house, the pair quickly ran to Bullwinkle's studio.
Remember me, boys? Cerulean Blue, the world-famous art collector?
Sure. What can we do for you, Mr. Blue?
I've decided to raise my offer for the 10 paintings.
Well.
I now offer $25,000 apiece.
Wowee, as they say in the comics.
Only one thing.
Yeah?
Could I take them outside and look at them in the light?
Why, of course. Which 10 paintings did you want?
Which 10?
Yeah, I just finished number 35. Composition with whipped cream and snowballs.
Yeah, but where's the first 10 you painted?
In the pile there somewhere.
Boris, the dynamite will blow up the old masters.
I know. Tell you what, I'll buy the whole bunch.
35 of them?
At 25 thou apiece?
Right. Only one thing. Let's take them outside and look at them in the light.
And within just a few seconds, everybody was outside the house with the paintings.
Phew, that was close. These old masters are worth millions.
Funny, I only count 34 paintings here.
What?
Boris, it's only one painting.
But that one might be the Mona Lisa. I'll get it.
Hokey smoke, what happened?
Maybe the pilot light went out on your stove, darling.
We don't have a pilot light.
No.
We don't have a stove either.
Well, there you see.
Not quite.
Mr. Blue, you all right?
Hey, I was wrong. There's 35 here after all.
Yeah, that's certainly a good joke on you.
And small wonder that Boris laughed, for somewhere in the pile of paintings he had bought were the 10 old masters worth millions of dollars.
And what's more, we're taking the next submarine back to Pennsylvania.
You don't mean... But you're the bad guy.
So?
Well, I'd have bet $1 million you wouldn't win.
Put up or shut up.
I'll shut up. But be with us for our next episode, Dollars to Donuts, or The Wonderful World of Cruller. Well, Boris and Natasha had just bought 35 of Bullwinkle's whitewash paintings.
Including the 10 with old masterpieces under the whitewash.
And now the villains are waiting for the next Pottsylvanian submarine to come up on the outskirts of Pigeon River.
There it is now, Boris.
That's one thing you can say about our fearless leader. He made the submarines run on time.
But Bullwinkle's brush and bucket was still busy night and day.
What is it, Bullwinkle?
That's obvious, Rock. It's Santa Claus arriving in a terrible blizzard.
I should have known.
Finally, even the Paris Museum, which had lost the 10 old masters, had to change its mind.
You mean we are going to replace them with modern paintings?
Marcel, we must move with the times.
Fui!
And besides, the moose gave them to us for nothing.
Ooh, they're beautiful.
And so 10 of Bullwinkle's paintings were hung in the spots vacated by the stolen old masters. Meanwhile, many miles away in the grim little country of Pottsylvania...
Ah, it's good to breathe the air of Pottsylvania, Natasha.
That pungent odor.
Yes, they must be burning books in the public square again. But we digress. We got to sell this $1 million bunch of old masters.
Who to, Boris?
Natasha, there's only one man in Pottsylvania who has money.
You mean our fearless leader?
Yes, that greedy, money-grabbing, penny-pinching...
Go on, Badenoff.
Thrifty, industrious, frugal, level-headed...
Enough!
Why, it's fearless leader!
Badenoff, you're a groveling bootlicker.
But I...
Fortunately for you, I like groveling bootlickers.
I'm glad.
What do you have there?
10 disguised old masters worth $2 million. But for you...
For me? Thank you, Badenoff.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I get. Thank you.
Of course not. Thank you very much.
Oh, boy.
Now, what do you say?
You're welcome.
Not only that, but when fearless leader cleaned the whitewash off...
Schweinhund! These aren't old masters. These are plain canvas. Arrest him.
Darling, is there anything I can do?
Yes. Shut up, you mouth.
Meanwhile, back in Frostbite Falls...
But why didn't you give Mr. Blue the first 10 paintings?
Well, he was such a nice feller. I thought he'd like 10 brand new ones.
Well, what happened to the first one?
I gave them to that Paris museum.
And sure enough, when these paintings were cleaned...
Sacre Bleu, the masterpieces are back again.
It's a wonder. It's a miracle.
It's about time.
Well, it looked as if Bullwinkle really had it made as an artist until a terrible thing happened.
That's right, Mr. Moose. We're plumb out of whitewash.
Oh, dear. I need 4,000 gallons of it.
We'll have it in on Monday.
But that was too late, for over the weekend, another artist appeared on the scene to catch the eye of the art world.
This is Jackson Plop.
Yes, Jackson Plop, painted with a mixture of pablum and chicken gizzards.
Well, there's one thing I've got to say about this boy's work. It's got guts.
Gee, Rock, I can't sell a painting these days.
Yeah, and we're stuck with 4,000 gallons of whitewash. Wait a minute, where is all the whitewash?
I sold it.
Sold it? Who to?
To them fellers who investigate payola.
4,000 gallons of whitewash?
Believe me, to them, it's only a drop in the bucket.
And so we reach another happy ending where... Oh, now, wait a minute. This isn't a happy ending.
Sure it is. Look, I'm smiling.
Oh, good. Okay. Happy ending.
This episode is over, but the very best of my collection is banned on YouTube. To see what you have been missing, go to archive.org and search for Gyro Screw Loose, and I'll see you there.